fasting. Now, fasting is my next question, which is what I'm doing now. So I decided that's it. Now I'm going on a 36-hour fast, which something I've done before. So what are your thoughts on fasting, or extended or intermittent? But let's start with intermittent fasting.
Yeah, fasting's another really interesting topic. And just like with diet, just like we can't say, here's the one diet for you, we can't say everybody needs to fast and here's how you do it, because people react differently to fasting, and when I first started to investigate fasting and kind of get into it, I was like, yes, everybody's got to fast, time restricted eating for everybody. Everybody's got to be on an 18-6 and do an alternate day fasting, one day a week. And then as I started to get more experience with it and some of the new literature came out, I realized that there is a subset of patients, a subset of people who is not small. I mean, there's a sizable group who actually have sort of a negative response to fasting, that whether from a hunger standpoint or a psychological standpoint, they actually sort of eat more calories during the day, or eat sort of, you can say, quote unquote, worse foods during the day because of that fasting. It can stimulate cravings, it can stimulate hunger, but clearly not in everybody, right? Because there's this other subset that just does an 18-6 like it's nothing and doesn't even think about it and is much happier and feels better that way. So I think the most important thing is sort of experimenting with fasting and deciding which group that you're in. Not that you're always going to stay in that group, but that's the group you're in sort of at the moment. And maybe sometime in the future, try it again. But the other question is, what are the goals of fasting? Are you trying to lose weight? Are you trying to minimize or to lower your insulin? Are you trying to improve your insulin sensitivity, right? There are different goals to fasting as well. So that can decide how hard you should push to try fasting. And whether that's time restricted eating or longer fasting, when you get into longer fasting, now you start talking about longevity, right? So now is there a longevity benefit to it? And, longevity research is so poor and so difficult to do, because how are you going to measure humans for 50, 60 years to see if it's improving longevity? So you either have to work on surrogate markers or animal studies. So there is a bit of a leap of faith, but I think there's something to it. I think, 5-day fast every quarter has some support to say it can improve longevity. So if you're the type of person who can fast without a problem, and you're getting adequate resistance training and protein and have decent muscle mass and lean mass on a regular basis, then doing a 5-day fast once a quarter is probably worth it. But if any of those things are not true, if you struggle with fasting, if you struggle to get enough protein, if you're low on your lean mass trying to improve it, then no, probably a 5-day fast is not in your best interest. So, again, you can't just say one recommendation for fasting. You have to define who it is, what the goals are, and how they react to fasting.
True. I do it for insulin sensitivity. So when I realized like overindulgence in cheese makes me insulin resistant, and it's not like a chronic condition. I know it's temporary, but the way to recover from it is for me to do a longer fast. Mm-hmm. Not necessarily 5-day, but I'm petite, I'm small, so I'm generally very insulin sensitive. So 1 day of insulin resistance, I address it. I don't just leave it, because it could go on and on. It could go on. It doesn't go back to normal on its own. So even if I skip one meal, which is very easy for me to do, like one meal, I skip one meal, and then I realize, blood sugars are back to normal. I'm, maintaining straight line. So it is very depends on the individual. I wouldn't recommend it to my elderly mother, for example.
Right. Good point. Yeah. And for people with type 1 diabetes, I mean, as you know, it requires very careful monitoring of your blood sugar and adjustment of your medication. So nobody should be doing it on their own. They should be doing it with a clinician to help guide them, or someone who, really understands how to adjust the medications.
True. Well, it's actually very sad that clinicians aren't supporting type 1s who want to do fasting. Not even keto. I mean, forget the fasting. They're not even supporting type 1 diabetics doing keto. And so I set up a group on Facebook, and I found that there are 300 other crazy type 1s out there who are doing fasting just like I did. I thought I was writing blogs and I was the only crazy one, but other people are doing it completely on their own. So we're ending up supporting each other. This is where I think the medical profession is still lagging behind, and it makes me sad.
Mm-hmm. I agree 100%. And, people like yourself and Dr. Troy Stapleton and Dr. Ian Lake and, other doctors, and Dr. Keith Runyon, who promote ketogenic diets and versions of intermittent fasting for people with type 1 diabetes. we need to hear more from them, more voices like that, so we can understand in the right setting, it's absolutely safe, absolutely effective. But again, it's not just something anybody goes and does on their own, because there are safety precautions.